Okay. There are 4.7 billion people in the world that have a cell phone, and with every invention, there's obviously a mastermind behind it all. And for the cell phone, I would just like to celebrate Martin Cooper and the accomplishments that he has made. Um, one reason that I'm passionate about this is because I use a cell phone like most people, and it's something that is a part of my everyday life. And we use cell phones so frequently that basically our whole life revolves around it. That we keep our calendar, we keep everything on there, we keep our work schedule, um, and they're incredibly important. And today I just want to celebrate the man who made that possible. So I'm going to talk about Martin Cooper and his life, and his early life. Then I'm going to talk about his professional career and his invention of the first modern cell phone. Then lastly, I'm going to touch on why we should be inspired by him and what he has done for the community. So first, I'm going to talk about Martin Cooper. Cooper accomplished a lot before the mobile phone. He graduated from the Illinois Institute of Technology, according to Eric Gregerson at Encyclopedia Britannica, which is in Chicago, and he graduated with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering in 1950, and then went back and got his master's in 1957, which was super cool for him. And then he joined the Navy right after graduation and served as a submarine officer in the Korean War, which is something that he was super passionate about at the time. He did that right after he graduated, and then he went back and got his master's after a couple years. But he also accomplished a lot in his professional career as well. In 1954, he worked for Motorola and did a lot with the wireless communications department, was very passionate about that. That was shown by his electrical engineering degree. And then also he became the division head and saw that the company was to create the first mobile phone. This was something that was very talked about in the industry. And there was a lot going on with rival company AT&T, who slowly was becoming a juggernaut. And if they were to create the mobile phone before Motorola, they would have had a monopoly over the entire thing. And so that is why he was super passionate about trying to make the first mobile phone. And so next I'm going to show you kind of a behind the scenes look at how his invention kind of came to life, why he was passionate about it, and talk a little bit about the first mobile phone. So Cooper made his mission to make the first mobile handheld phone that could be used anywhere, and it was a success, and it was something that was really incredible. And it was called the Dynatac 8000X. And so he had the first prototype of the first portable phone, and it was used during a press conference to call an engineer that actually worked at AT&T because he wanted to show them that he had created the first mobile phone call, and he wanted to just show off. And it was something that was actually really funny that they looked back on and was a highlight of his career. And so the first phone, the Dynatac 8000X, consisted of two existing already radio technologies put into one. And it was put into a miniaturized portable device, which wasn't so portable at the time. It weighed 2.5 pounds. It was nearly a foot tall. And it had 35 minutes of battery life, so completely different from the phones we have today. But it took time for the phone to hit the market. But once it did, it really took off, and the world kind of never looked back. In 1983, Motorola, introduced its first mass-produced phone, which was the Dynatac 8000X, the first prototype that he used. And it went on sale on the market for $3,995, which is quite a lot of money at the time, so not a lot of people had it. But eventually Cooper left Motorola to start his own company, Dyna LLC, which he had the same mission, which was going to try and improve wireless communication so that everyone could have access to communication with others and could connect the world one phone at a time and one person at a time. And so lastly, Cooper did a lot more than just invent, and he did a lot more than just create the phone and went to school, but he really inspired many. And he inspired many to come in the same field, but he also inspired friends and family and so many in the world, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So Martin Cooper inspired generations of people after him, and the phone was just the start. According to Johnson Herr at businessed.com, in 1993, IBM Simon was the first smartphone that was created. So there were a lot of phones similar to Cooper's right after he invented his in 1973, and then it went on for sale in 1983. And then 10 years later, they came out with a smartphone which had access to a calendar, your address book, and so many other things. email access, I think, as well. It kind of revolutionized carrying a phone in your pocket and that wireless communication. And then, of course, in 2007, Apple created the Apple iPhone, um, which had the first touchscreen interface, which was revolutionary and had only the home button, only that one button, which had never been seen before on a phone. And it had face recognition and completely revolutionized the phone industry. But both of those could not have been possible without Cooper starting the first and inventing the first phone, which is something that was really incredible. Um, then he inspired others as well, not just in the industry but outside the industry. In 2013, he received the Marconi Prize, which is a very high honor. It was the highest honor in the communication and information sciences kind of realm of science. And it was cited for being a visionary who reshaped the concept of mobile communication. And obviously, he did that and inspired so many, which is why there were so many phones created after, and so many people wanted to replicate what he had done and how he had opened up a new industry and a new communication for the world. But then currently, he's 90 years old and he runs his own company. And he is healthy and has a good work ethic, and he runs his company with his wife, and at 90 years old it is pretty incredible to see how he still has that same passion as he did from when he created the phone and when he went to school and everything else in his life. And that is something that is truly remarkable that we can all sit back and admire. So Cooper really didn't realize it at the time, but he revolutionized the world we live in. He allowed communication from person to person from virtually anywhere in the world. He didn't create it with his first phone, but he opened the doorway for so many others to be inspired to follow his work and to just go along with that. So to kind of wrap it all up, Martin Cooper had an extraordinary career filled with so many accomplishments, but ultimately what he did was he inspired. He inspired another generation to kind of fulfill his dream of wireless communication by showing other people the blueprint for how to make wireless communication available with the first mobile handheld phone. And with that came the iPhone, and with that came so many other things that we got to be inspired by. So last thing I would say is thank you, Mr. Cooper, not only for inventing the phone, but for giving us the ability to use mobile and portable communication so we can connect with the world and be able to talk to people around the world and connect as a human race. We are also grateful, and we're also thankful for what you've done. Thank you.